Tonight, we'll show you a unique path to happiness. But to get it, you'll have to give up most of your worldly possessions.
Could you do it? Our 8 News reporter Jonathan Costin takes us to a community in Louisa where people are living the simple life.
Well, the reasons I came here were for ideology, because I wanted to live a simpler life.
This is Keenan Dakota. In 1983, he gave up living in mainstream society for a life in a commune, an egalitarian community in Twin Oaks.
But the things that have kept me here are different. Like, it's a great place to raise kids. I like to work. I like to work with my hands. I like to build things. And I think that's true for a lot of people who live here.
Meet Tom Freeman. He moved to Twin Oaks 20 years ago, a former lab technician and a William & Mary graduate.
Oh, I was a young Republican. I'm still very conservative. For me, it's mostly a sense of, I take a pragmatic approach.
It was a college friend named Danielle who convinced Tom to live here. Danielle died of cancer in her 30s. She's buried here in the Twin Oaks Cemetery.
And she kept telling me about Twin Oaks, and I was like, oh, hippies in the woods singing Kumbaya. It's not really my speed. And she kept telling me, like, no, Twin Oaks is more than that.
It certainly is. It's a group of shrewd business people who started living together nearly 50 years ago on a few acres of property selling hammocks. Now they own nearly 500 acres of land. We'll get back to those famous hammocks in a moment, but first you must understand the people who live here believe in sharing their income, and by living together, they say they consume less. They grow most of their own food and have livestock for meat and dairy. They also have a fleet of 13 cars.
We have 7 houses, 7 kitchens, 7 stoves, 7 toasters, 7 microwaves.
Don't stereotype them as hippies, even though some people here identify themselves as hippies.
But it's not all about, you know, doing crazy hippie stuff, you know, wearing your hair long, wearing flowing skirts and dancing to the Grateful Dead. It's not like that at all.
They live in a commune, so they must be communists, right?
And even the term communist, I mean, like, when you think of communist, you think of places like Soviet Union and stuff, and you know, and that's kind of oppressive. I mean, it's the opposite of what we are.
They vote in elections and they use capitalism to live the way they do. From the Twin Oaks businesses, each adult's taxable income is equal to about $7,000 a year, and that money goes into a common pot to pay for everything at the community. However, members do get a monthly allowance of about $103, and they say all their needs are met, from medical to dental.
We live outside a lot. We walk around a lot outside. You know, we eat well. We don't have as much stresses. You know, we're not stressing mortgages. We're not stressing whether they're going to be fired or not. We're not stressing if we can provide for our children.
The big trade-off is you will live at Twin Oaks. Anybody living at Twin Oaks will never, ever be poor. You will also never, ever be rich.
And what about crime?
There is no crime. Everybody has what they need. I mean, if you give people what they need, they don't steal stuff.
People here share the work. This fellow is a professional computer programmer, but now he's a woodworker.
None of us come here knowing how to do the stuff we do. We're all city kids. And most of us are like, you know, college-educated white kids from the middle-class suburbs, and we come out here and then we live in the woods.
Everyone here selects his or her own job, and they must work around 40 hours a week on an honor system. Their warehouses are full with food. Their homes are warm and cozy. Their needs are all met here. A midwife comes here to help with births, and a hospice was built here so people can die. So how do they support themselves? For 30 years, this popular store sold Twin Oaks hammocks, and that's how they were able to build and buy land.
You know, we ran very successful businesses and deal with big-name players in industries and make millions of dollars.
But when Pier 1 Imports pulled the plug on the hammocks a decade ago, Twin Oaks had to change its game plan.
This is basic rug yarn with UV inhibitors in it.
Of course, they kept making their famous hammocks, but the folks here started to use soybeans to sell tofu, products neatly packaged and wrapped that you probably buy in area supermarkets like this one on Gaskins Road. So how do you become a member of Twin Oaks? Well, there is an application process, but there's a waiting list. You see, 91 adults live here, as well as 15 children. You see, Twin Oaks communities become so popular that it's helped spawn 2 other egalitarian communities nearby. Acorn is 7 miles away with 21 people, and Living Energy Farms is also in Louisa County with 4 to 5 people. We're told these people live totally off the grid. Twin Oaks does not.
We are not off the grid. I mean, it's a goal of ours. We have solar panels, and but we still get a lot of our power from the power company. We don't have commercial TV, but around the edges of that, people have their own computers and they watch things online, and a couple people have Netflix accounts.
The folks here want to create their own utopia.
I think the longer I'm here, the less suited I am to being out in the mainstream, because like I don't put up with having a boss. You know, I just sort of set my own schedule, work when I want to work, take a nap when I want to take a nap.
We earn our money, we pay our taxes, and you know, we just want to live our lives.
Well, Juan and Christina, I know what you're thinking. Before you tell the boss you want to trade in the anchor desk to sell tofu and hammocks, now remember, there is a waiting list. Now, after you get past the waiting list, you have to intern there for about 3 weeks. And then you go through a grueling interview process because they want to make sure you get along with folks. And then you have to get along with folks because you're living in tight quarters.
Wow, and the children are actually raised there as well.
Yeah, they're raised there. They say they're just like you and me. You know, they send their kids to school or they homeschool their kids. And now listen to this. Now, a lot of their children, they even travel the world extensively. And so, and just think of this, you know, they don't have to worry about childcare because they could attend all their children's functions. And when they attend their children's functions, that applies to their 40-hour work week.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, not long ago, a lot of people used to live like
That's
this.
true.
Exactly. You guys signing up?
Very interesting.
We'll let you know
Well,
about that,
yeah.
Jonathan, although it is cool.
That is. All right. Thank you for that.
Interesting. All right, moving on. If winter was this